Solo mode is the solo mode, and you're all alone in the solo mode, and you miss your group, or you had some kids, but you bought some games. Why did you buy those games? It's the solo mode, it's the solo mode, and you're all alone in the solo mode, and your group is gone, or you had some kids, but you bought those games. Why did you buy those games? Sorry.
Why did you buy those games? Welcome to Game Brain Solo Mode. I am your host, Matthew Robinson. This is episode 9 of Solo Mode. If you've been keeping track and waiting for the next episode, you've been waiting for about 2 years. It was November 2023, the last time I did a Solo Mode episode. Did a lovely little chat about Earthborne Rangers. Quite a wonderful game that was just delivering at that time. Played quite a few solo modes since then, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. By the way, quickly, if you are listening to this on your podcast, respect, keep doing it, but also if you wanted to, this is in video right now. You could be going to youtube.com, Game Brain Podcast, and see me in all my glory. I've got some cameras set up. Seems a little bit like overkill for a solo mode podcast episode, but I want you to know that I have been planning to start doing some solo mode playthroughs. It's something that I would enjoy to do. I'm going to give it a whirl. I've got this little setup now. You'll even see, if you're looking on YouTube right now, I can even add some other screens here and talk about some games. So we can start doing some playthroughs, and that's what we're going to be doing. But this is still first and foremost a podcast. Today you'll be hearing me talk about a lot of different solo modes that I've played recently, and we will keep this mainly a podcast. I will try to not make the visual element of it too important, but feel free to watch this on YouTube or listen to this on your podcasts. But yes, it's been a long time since we did our last solo mode episode. So today I want to be covering all of the best solo modes that I've played in the past 2 years. I've made it a list of 10 in no particular order. I'm not ranking them. I'm just going to talk you through 10 great solo modes that I've played over the last 2 years. Now, a lot has happened in the last 2 years. I've had quite a few opportunities to play a lot of solo modes. I had a bit of a health scare last year, which caused me to not be able to play with my gaming group for a while, and that really got me back into solo games in a big way. And I've been riding that way for about the past 7-8 months now, playing quite a few solo games and really enjoying it. Health is back, totally healthy again, playing with people. In fact, we're playing a game of Old King's Crown tonight, which is fantastic. Also has a pretty great solo mode. Not talking about it today, but maybe I'll play it on stream soon. So that's pretty cool. But I have gone through a lot of different journeys over the past 2 years with my solo modes, and I figured I'd talk you through them, talk you through what drew me to these games, why, if they've stuck around, how I feel about them. Some of them are new. They've come out recently. I'm still excited about them. Some of them I've been playing for 2 years straight. Some of them I played a couple times and gathered dust, but they were memorable. And so we're going to take you through this today. I've got my coffee. Feel free to go get your coffee too. But let's jump right into it. The first game on our list today is a game by John D. Clare, and this is a game called Unstoppable. Unstoppable is a solo-only game, one of the few solo-only games we'll be talking about today. Most of the other games are either co-op or something that you could play competitively or with friends. But Unstoppable is solo only, can only be played solo. It is, in essence, a deck building game and a boss battler. You are going to be card crafting. That's sort of one of John D. Clare's hallmarks as a designer. If you've played Custom Heroes, or more recently, they did a new version of it called Ruins, or if maybe you have played Mystic Vale, you know what I mean. It's sort of, there's a sleeve, and you're putting multiple cards in there, and they usually have different layers to them, so you're building a card as you go, upgrading it, adding new abilities to it. Unstoppable is my favorite version of that system that he's done. I think I've tried most of his card crafting games. I love deck building. That's always one of my favorites, and so card crafting is a really cool thing that I've been waiting for somebody to kind of nail, and I feel like Unstoppable gets us there. It's fun, it's fast, it's about 30 minutes to set up. It has a cool thing wherein you are fighting enemies, and then when you defeat those enemies, you flip them over, and they become bonuses that you add to your cards, or upgrades that you add to your cards. So you're killing things and then adding them into your deck, and deck building that way, sort of deciding what you're going to fight, what you're not going to fight. how you're going to craft your deck, and then trying to get strong enough so that eventually you can take on the big boss. There's at least 4 or 5 different bosses in the game. They're all pretty different. Again, it's fast. This is probably the fastest setup game that I'm going to be talking about today. Most of the games on here are big chonkies that take a lot of time and a big table. This one's quick, it's fast. I'll just show you briefly. I know I said I wouldn't make it too visual, but there's not much components in here. I have all the little tokens in this little case here. Boom, bam, you set it up, you shuffle up your deck, and you start playing. Really fast, quick game to get on the table, unstoppable. Haven't played it in a couple months, but I've played it quite a bit, and I saw it again today when I was putting this list together and thought that needs to be played really soon, so I will do that. All right, next up is possibly the most impressive, well, I don't want to get too in the weeds of what's impressive. This one really blew me away, let's say that. This one knocked my socks off. This game is Napoleon, designed by Ted Ace Racer. Ted, known mainly for excellent, famous war games like Paths of Glory. This is not a war game by any stretch. This is a narrative game, card-driven. The whole game is basically a couple hundred cards, like a D8 and a couple chits. There's not even really a map. The board you're playing on just has a whole bunch of different windows, literally windows, and you are, on your turn, I know it sounds crazy, you are drawing a card and playing a card. That is the game. It's one of those games where you read the rule book and you can't quite figure out where the game lies until you start playing it. So what is the experience of Napoleon? Well, I do like history. I have read a few books on Napoleon. I was familiar with his life. But you don't have to be. This is actually kind of a cool way to learn about Napoleon's life. You will follow Napoleon through 3 different eras of his life, starting as, the soldier to the general to, the president, and then, to eventually you're dead. And you literally play his entire career. You don't do his childhood, but you start when he's a young soldier and work your way up all the way to potentially different outcomes, such as death or imprisonment. What is really cool about this is, and while I do like the theme, and I think Napoleon as an interesting place to start this game, I was mostly excited by the potential of the system. This is something where I can imagine this system being applied not only to historical things, but to fiction, to IP. It's a fantastic way of Groundhog's Day style replaying the same life over and over again and seeing drastically different outcomes. You could die in the first section of the game. You could catch a bullet. You can marry different people. You can take different career paths. You can start different wars. It's just wild how such a simple draw a card, play a card system with a handful of different skill checks throughout the way ends up creating just wildly different narratives as the game goes on. And I found that so fascinating. And it's just, there's a lot of humor in the game. Whether it's designed to be funny, it's still funny that, you can roll a die and get divorced. You can just piss off the wrong person and just get killed. The game has a certain amount of agency. You definitely get better as you play. You start learning. You're probably thinking, draw a card, play a card, how many decisions can I be making? The decision points are limited, but they are extremely important. And you have options of ignoring certain cards. You have and knowing when to do that and start sort of learning these decks. You really start to know these cards, sort of Twilight Struggle style. And the more you start to know them, the more you start knowing which big events you need to be weary of, which ones you're working your way around, which things you need to chase. And every era plays out as sort of its own game. And it's wildly fascinating. I genuinely cannot recommend this enough. If you were to say of all the 10 games I'm going to say today, what is just the weirdest, coolest, most interesting experience, it's got to be Napoleon, designed by Ted Racer. And I selfishly want it to be really popular because I want more games in this system. Napoleon is absolutely amazing. We've done 2. Let's work our way to the 3rd game that I have been enjoying over the past 2 years, and that is a little game called Spirit Island. I kind of have been on record not loving Spirit Island in the past. And okay, I was going to say I still am not maybe a huge fan of it as a multiplayer game, but actually I think I love it so much now that that's not true. I just got tired of hearing how people adore this game and think it's brilliant, and I have a tendency when I just bounce off something and I keep over many, many years, probably over like 8-9 years now, just constantly keep hearing this is at the top of everybody's solo games list and everybody's favorite solo game, that I just put in the time, and I needed to. It took a lot of time for me to recognize the brilliance of Spirit Island. And part of it is that it doesn't play like anything else. Like, I think I was coming to it expecting it to be more akin to other games that I've played. And the more I started playing it on its own terms, I started to really love it. And I think what this game's own terms are is that almost every spirit in the game is its own game. And I kept trying to find this system. I kept trying to find like rules for how I could sort of win any scenario with any. I was kind of looking for like the hidden key to understanding the game, and I kept just being frustrated because I couldn't figure out what I'm supposed to be doing all the time. And the truth is that there are really no general rules that you can apply to every spirit. Playing a spirit is sort of learning a new game, and they all play so drastically different. And so I started watching certain streamers who were playing the game. I started learning how to play a few of the spirits, and then I started playing them on my own and getting a lot better with them, working my way up and higher difficulties. That's one of the fun things about the game, is just how configurable the difficulty of the game is. And I kind of left, like, this was one of the big ones that I was playing over the last year when I was unable to play with other people, and I just became obsessed with it. I think I've probably watched other people play the game a lot more than I've played it. I've played it quite a fair amount on digital. I think the digital implementation is great. As a cardboard solo gamer, I really like pulling things out on the table, which I have done a lot with this game as well. But it is a really good way to get reps in on the digital version. And I think they almost have everything available. I think Nature Incarnate, they're just starting to get stuff out there. And once they have all of that in there, the digital will be caught up with the physical, and everything will be available. But the digital is wonderful. I think there's two different ways you can do it. Either subscription services where you can pay a couple bucks a month and have access to everything, or you can just buy it and never have to do a monthly fee again. But it's a great way to get reps. And I actually would say that the digital version was a big way of letting me sort of get over my intimidation of Spirit Island and get through the painful growing pains that come with a game like this. And I just think, I would recommend that if you bounced off this, I bounced off it early in my solo gaming life and my board gaming life, and I just kind of went, not for me, not for me. I would describe it as sort of a board game where you're a kid jumping into a pool going, "Mommy, look at me," and doing some kind of like boring dive, and then it's just everybody around the table saying, "Mommy, me, mommy, me." And it was just sort of a game where it just felt like we're all doing these cool things and wishing other people cared, but nobody cares because they're just focusing on their own thing. Does that pool metaphor make sense? I feel like, I don't know. I have little kids. And I love when they dive. Okay. But yeah, it just felt like we're all doing cool things and nobody cares about what they're doing. I would like to start playing it more co-op. I still feel like the most interesting part of the game is sort of the solo puzzle you're trying to figure out on your own. But I am convinced that there is a lot more fun to be had with other people who also are equally enamored with the game and have put in the time. Oh, that's a heavy boy though. That's a heavy box. Okay. Next one, the fourth game on this list. Oh, this is so good. Okay. Fourth game on this list is Core of Discovery, a Manifest Destiny game, a game set in the world of Manifest Destiny. Okay. I adore this game. This is my current obsession. This is the game that I'm playing the most of right now. Well, maybe tied for. There's one other on this list we'll talk about that I'm playing a lot right now. Core of Discovery is narrative Sudoku. which when I heard that, I thought that's really funny because what does that mean? So literally, Sudoku, it's just without the numbers, but just you are doing a process of elimination deduction game on a grid. I think it's 9 by 9 in this grid. And you are using logic to figure out where certain things are on that grid. But to what purpose? Well, there are a handful of different scenarios you'll be playing in the game, and each scenario comes with a dozen or 2 dozen maps, depending. There's more you could print out. And yes, if you were to memorize one of these maps, the game would have died for you because then you could never play that map again because there's no deduction. But there are so many maps, and there's really no, like, it's like saying, like, you've memorized a Sudoku puzzle, so you can't play it again. Well, yeah, but also, like, who's memorizing Sudoku? Like, don't do that. Like, you could just play something else and then wait a while, and you'll probably forgot you even played it. Anyway, the point of each of these games is to usually defeat a monster. There are monsters in the Sudoku game. But in essence, it's a survival game. You have to feed yourself. You have to find food. You're foraging. So instead of numbers that you're turning over in the Sudoku puzzle and trying to figure out what they are, there's resources. So you might deduce there is wood in a spot that you can flip over. And if you flip over that wood, you get to take wood and add it to your resources. Or sometimes there are teepees that allow you to exchange things, or there are monsters that you flip over that then make it harder for you to explore other things until you deal with those monsters. And every scenario, of which there are quite a few, in the retail, I think there's 2 different sort of scenarios, and then there's a whole bunch of expansions. I have the lovely deluxe version that has all the expansions in there, of which I've only made my way through about 3 of them. I think there's like 6. And they are very different and varied. But beyond that, you also you have asymmetrical character powers that you're taking into each game, and there are asymmetrical equipment, loot that you have as well, like different items that you can use once per round to help you figure things out. You're building shelters to make things easier. You are forging fires in order to scare off monsters or keep yourself from freezing. It's weird that a game of basically deduction and Sudoku can really bring a survival game to life, but it totally does. And beyond that, it brings like a really cool sort of like monster fighting game to life too. I'm enamored with it. I think it's so fun. It's a weird thing. It's like I love sitting and doing a puzzle. Like I did the crossword I was one of those people who did the crossword every day for 20 years when I lived in New York, and I would do it on the train every day. I stopped because I got dumber. But I love a puzzle. I love just that thing. We sit with a pen and a piece of paper, and you have your coffee, and you do a little puzzle in the morning. I'm all over that. This gives you that, but also like the full narrative, fun sort of character-y experience as well. And just with a twist of like great modern board game design. Very exciting, really cool system. If you're the kind of person who likes puzzles, but also likes big, chunky, heavy board games, it's also hard as hell. You lose most often than not, which is like, don't worry about memorizing the Sudoku because like you will lose it a few times. Just like shuffle it back in with the other maps, come back to it. You probably lost to it anyway, so you don't know most of it. Wildly fascinating game. It's based on a graphic novel. I've never read the graphic novel. I don't know much about it, but the art is great. The world seems cool. It's kind of, I would say, a sort of a satirical Lewis and Clark, anti-colonialist kind of thing, a little bit in the spirit of Spirit Island, in the sense that the explorers aren't necessarily the good guys. Maybe the monsters are to a certain extent. I guess I'm dancing around the fact that is it potentially problematic? Maybe. It could be. I could see that. But it did seem aware of that and satirical. But overall, I think the theme was evocative and interesting, and I'm leaning on the side of it being a little tongue-in-cheek and satirical. Moving right along, this is another really cool one. This is my other current, whoa, game's falling. This is my other current obsession. This is Vantage. Not like the world's biggest Stonemaier fan, especially recently. I think a lot of people have said that. I don't know. Some of the last few designs have been a little bit less exciting than they were for a while. A lot of people tapped out at Tapestry. I did not. I love Tapestry, still do. Fight me. Vantage, though, is like if Old King's Crown didn't come out this year, it's, I think, my game of the year. I just think it's a super cool design. So this also, the most similar to Napoleon in the sense of like narrative first by a lot, not like 70% narrative, 30% mechanisms. Vantage is a exploration game in the same way that Breath of the Wild is an exploration game, in the same way that the HBO show Scavenger's Reign is all about exploration. It's about looking off into the horizon and just walking and just seeing where you go. There is very little in terms of goals in the game. You literally do have a goal. You are given one every game, which is sort of your mission. But like, you don't have to do it. You could just explore. And there's a really cool, like the thing that really blew me away is the world is well designed and well thought out. It's smart, it's evocative, it's interesting. The game's called Vantage because you literally have a card that shows you a scene from what you can see from your vantage. And it has arrows on it, north, south, east, west, and you decide, do you want to go straight, left, right, or back? And that's kind of the game. And then you're doing skill checks with different stats to see how you survive the different things that come upon you. And in the process, you find new missions and new quests that you can do. And the more of those you do, the sort of the more like special victory you get if you achieve a couple of those and your big victory. But again, like this is, if you're playing this game for like, you know, that was a fly. If you're playing this game for like, are there victory conditions? Can I challenge myself to win at hard? I mean, not really. That's not really what this game's about. This is the opposite of Spirit Island, which is like literally you keep upgrading the tension and the difficulty of the game as you improve. This is not that game. This is not a game where you are testing the limits of how much you can handle the system. This is, I just want to see what happens tonight. I want to just walk around and have some fun. And it does it so well. And it's so fascinating the way it does it. And it also, I think I like my solo games with comedy in them, but it's funny. You find these funny scenarios where you know, like you find a robot that's attacking you and you destroy it and then you turn it into a spaceship and then, you know, you crash that spaceship somewhere and then you know, find the bones of a monster and you build a harp out of it and play music for other monsters. And you end up just telling these wild, funny stories. It's also quite fun to play with somebody else. I know we're talking about solo modes, but I do think it's one of the games, one of those rare games that it retains the exact same experience when you play it solos, whether you play it other people, but you're both playing the solo game, but you're playing your own. Like you could totally play a game with another person and never interact with them at all. But as long as you're all like taking your turns really quickly, it's just funny to hear it's like you're hearing more stories in the world. You're hearing your own story, and then every once in a while, like you're like, oh, I was over there. I remember that thing, and it's almost like doing your knitting in a knitting circle with other people who are knitting, and you all just love knitting. But you're not like knitting each other's thing. Does that make sense? Yeah, it's like knitting. Run out and buy that game. Anyway, Vantage is really cool. I highly recommend Vantage. Let's move on. Next one is also another little weird game that came upon me after it was released. This one is Leviathan Wilds. When it comes to solo games, I rarely jump into them at Kickstarter level because I have so many solo games already that I'm not playing enough. So if ever there's a game that's like best solo, I rarely kickstart it. Earthborne Rangers being the exception to that. But if it comes out and it gets great reviews, I usually regret I didn't back it and end up paying more and should have backed it. Leviathan Wilds is definitely one of those. So Leviathan Wilds is rock climbing the board game with monsters. So Shadow of the Colossus, if you played that video game. It is Shadow of the Colossus, the board game. And it is actually like the best climbing game I've ever played. It's a card-based system wherein you are literally climbing up these giant monsters and moving your meeple up them and playing different cards that allow you to move different higher up or move sideways. There's cards you can play that actually let you fall and then grab onto things, but it puts you in a really cool state of actually feeling like you're climbing. The game would have been just as awesome if it was climbing different actual mountains and peaks in the world. I would be totally down for that. The monster thing is cool, and there's definitely, it would sell better with monsters probably than if it was K2, because the art is cooler than just snow. But it's really fun. It's a really cool system. It's fast. I've played it cooperative with other people, and that is fun as well, but I think it's best solo for me. It's really snappy, it's really fast. The monsters are all maps that you basically are playing on. So you open up the book and then that's the monster and you're climbing it. And I know I said I wouldn't use too many visual references here, but picture a spiral notebook that you're opening up, and every double spread page is a monster, and you put your meeple down on that page and you fight it. And when you beat that monster, you move on to the next one. Some of them are vertical, some of them are horizontal, the way you position the book on the table. But really fun system, really well designed, really fast. The card play is really interesting. There was an expansion that came out recently. I haven't delved into that much, but I played the core a ton and played through most of that content. So I'm ready to dive in to the expansion. Leviathan Wilds, if you like climbing, if you like fast games, if you like a lot of tension, and it's hard. I think that's one of the things I really like in my solo games is that it is super difficult and you don't win that often. All right, next up is a big boy. I gotta stand up for this one. This is from the GOAT of solo moders, which is Chip Theory Games. I, like most people who like solo games, have too many giant boxes with this little orange C on them. And I vowed to not get another one. I was gonna skip Elder Scrolls Betrayal of the Second Era. And this came out right after I had a surgery last year and was pretty much bedridden for about 2 weeks. And this literally shipped like the day after I got out of the hospital and was back home on painkillers and being taken care of by my lovely wife and family. And I was like, I can't like play this in bed. It's giant. And also like I have too many bones, which is a game and not a statement I just made. And I have Cloudspire and I have Burn Cycle. Why do I have all those? And I was like, not like an Elder Scrolls guy, like not a big fan of the games. I always found them to be a little wonky. But the reviews are really good. And I had an excuse to need a little distraction from the physical world and my physical body. And I got a copy of it and spent much of the time reading the rulebook and watching playthroughs and learning it. But it gave me a little bit of motivation to get out of bed and get to the table as soon as I was able to and start playing Elder Scrolls and play a lot of Elder Scrolls. I did. I played a lot of this game over that month, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Okay, so what is it? It's a character creation game. The actual game you're playing while you are going through a story and on a map and fighting monsters and going in dungeons, the actual game that you are focused on is how do I improve my character in order to be able to take on really difficult tasks later on, usually that being one giant dungeon at the end or a huge monster boss or both. You've got a ticking clock and a limited amount of time, and you've got to get strong and you've got to get ready to handle something really hard. And that's the game. It's kind of similar to Too Many Bones in that sense. but there's a much wider range of differentiation that you can achieve in this game. So you pick a character, they say race in this game? That you pick a type of character and you pick a trait. So you can pick like an elf, and then you pick an archer. And so that's your job and your thing. But then the fun part of the game is you can start picking up different skill lines. They're called skill lines. And so maybe you pick up a magic skill line, or maybe you pick up a different one. And you are limited, you are constrained by the amount of things you can learn, because there's only a certain amount of space you have on your character creation board. So you're trying to pick sort of these different sort of jobs in the Final Fantasy sense of it, and the best combination of these jobs. And then you've got to sort of train up in those jobs in order to unlock dice, because this is chip theory games. So it's all about the dice, and the chips obviously are the bad guys, just like they are in all their games. But this is all about upgrading your skills so that you unlock different dice, and so that you then can fight and attack. So why would you own this if you own Too Many Bones? I don't know if you would. I do, but I've been having a hard time figuring out why I'm going to bring Too Many Bones back to the table. I was annoyed when this game came out, because I was just like, don't make a better version of Too Many Bones for somebody else. I'm the guy who was in on Too Many Bones. I bought Too Many Bones the year it came out, which was like 10 years ago. And I've bought all the expansions since then. Like, screw you, Elder Scrolls. Like, don't 2.0 me. I'm your guy. Like, I'm the guy who bought all your stuff. Don't like make the better version for other people. So I was annoyed. I was annoyed immediately off the bat upon hearing about this. And especially when people started saying it's Too Many Bones 2.0. I don't want to hear that. I got all the Too Many Bones. Don't 2.0 me. But they 2.0'd me. And they won. And I bought it. And it's better than Too Many Bones. I still like Too Many Bones. What is the difference? It's played over 3 sessions. There's 3 sort of eras to the game, and each one is about 2 to 3 hours. So it's like a 9-hour campaign. That's nice. It's not too bad. Too Many Bones is like a 4-hour campaign usually, maybe 5 hours. So it's shorter. So Too Many Bones is shorter. But also, like, you have more time to sort of build. I don't know. Honestly, like, if I would sell Too Many Bones. I said it. I said I would sell it, because I think Elder Scrolls is just better. And it's a little bit longer, but there's also like it's broken nicely into 3 chunks, so you can just play one 3-hour chunk and then come back and do the next 3-hour chunk another time. It's also probably best 2-handed solo, just like Too Many Bones. I've done one-handed, and I just feel like you're constrained by your choices, sort of same in Too Many Bones. You have to build an all-arounder, and the game isn't really designed around that. It's much more fun to not build an all-arounder and to instead build 2 people who are good at different things working together than have to build somebody who's like kind of crappy at most things. Anyway, Elder Scrolls, congratulations to all the people who didn't buy Too Many Bones. Because now you can just have Elder Scrolls. Okay, this is too big. I gotta move this one. Okay. And I'm back. Okay. Next on the list, how many have we gone through here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We are on number 8. Number 8 is a game that we talked about last week on the podcast. Why am I talking about it again? Because it's flippin' fantastic as a solo game. This is the Lord of the Rings, Fate of the Fellowship, designed by Matt Leacock. I like it as much solo as I do multiplayer, which is interesting, which is actually the complement of a co-op, because I rarely like a co-op as much as the solo version of it. If something can be played co-op, to me, it's just a solo game. I like this as much co-op as solo. Which is why I reviewed it last week, because I was so surprised that there was such a great co-op game out there that I was liking so much. But just between you and me, play it solo. It's really good. Fate of the Fellowship, you pick 5 different characters. You always have to take Bilbo and Sam, and then you pick, it's either 4 or 5. Is it 5 total or 5 plus? I think it's 5 total. And then those randomly get placed out in a row. and you have to go through each one in that random order. So that random order in and of itself makes every game different. Plus, like we talked about in last week's episode, the amount of quests in the game are so different, and the order they come out in, or rather the order you decide to do them in is so different. It's just a lovely, lovely solo experience. It's about 90 minutes. It's hard to get it lower than that. It's a long guy, maybe an hour. Maybe I've done it in an hour. It's a long guy, but it's cool, and it tells really great Lord of the Rings stories, and it's, like I said, it's a great co-op game, but like it's also just like a really good solo game. All right, that's Fate of the Fellowship. We don't need to talk about that too much. We got 2 more, y'all. 2 more, and one of them is from my boy, Uva. All right, this is the fastest of the solo modes we're talking about tonight. And I think you're all going to be a little annoyed with me because I think this is extremely hard to get. I know they've been planning a reprint of it soon. I'm checking BGG just to see how much of a jerk I am right now. I think it's coming pretty soon. Yeah, it's coming pretty soon. Don't be too mad at me. This is Oranienburger Kanal by Uwe Rosenberg. Oranienburger Kanal is sort of a classic dial game from Uwe, so like Ora et Labora, or even the new Black Forest, where you're moving around different pieces on a thing. But much like Uwe games, much like other Uwe games, this one is one of those ones where it sort of feels like it came with 13 expansions in the box. Like the amount of decks Uwe gives you when you buy just his base game makes me think the man's been burned by expansions too many times and just is like, I just give all expansions now. I wait not for you. I don't know what accent that is, you guys. But Uwe gave you, I think, 79 expansions in this. There are so many different decks that you can bring out. Each deck, okay, what is the game? The game is very much an efficiency puzzle, wherein you have a very limited amount of actions you can take in order to expand and fill out your board by digging canals and building roads and scoring points. It's all about how do you score points. And the points can be scored by the different sort of contracts that come out and the decks of cards that you pick a different deck every game, and the decks are all extremely different, and each deck has a ton of contracts in it, and the contracts are basically how you get points. And so the contracts that come out and the order they come out in decides what you're going to focus on and how you're going to get points. It is a straight up soulless efficiency puzzle, but it is a juicy one. And like I said, I like a puzzle. I like to sit down, remember my little crossword talk? I like to sit down and do my little crosswords. This feels like that. It's not a huge table hog. It's pretty quick to set up, but it totally feels like just this little puzzle. It's really hard. I mean, it is a brain burner. You feel smart when you do a good score on this one, when you did a good score. It's just a lovely Uwe puzzle. We've gone out of focus. And I love Uwe. I love the amount of decks you get in an Uwe game. And I think this has replaced Newsford for me as my favorite Rosenberg solo. And if you like the Newsford, why are we not doing that? If you like Newsford as a solo game, and I've just told you I think this is better, I know that just perked your interest. That is Oranienburger Kanal, and I really hope you all can get your hands on that soon because it's a special one. And last, we're going to end where we began with the episode 2 years ago. I have played a butt ton of Earthborne Rangers in the last 2 years. And there is a glut of new content that has come out. We have Legacy of the Ancestors, which is a whole new campaign. And just a couple days ago, they announced a new little mini expansion, a Valley expansion called Spire of the Bloom. And I just got it like yesterday. And it also has these, I don't even know what these little cards are, Moments in the Valley. There's just, bless them. Bless these gentlemen and ladies for making this wonderful game. Earthborne Rangers is a Fantasy Flight-esque LCG, very similar to, why am I being silly right now? To Arkham Horror, the card game. And it's lovely. It takes place in this wonderful little world where you don't murder people and everybody's kind and you give cookies. And then sometimes like there's like scary things in the water and caves. And it's a lovely game to play true solo. I like to play this one true solo. I finished one campaign and I'm halfway through another. One campaign I did two-handed solo, great. My new campaign, straight solo. I think I'm digging it more just because it moves. It's a long game. This one is like, I don't know, 40 hours maybe to get through a whole scenario, maybe 30 or a whole campaign. And yeah, it's much faster. I feel like I've maybe like can complete this in half the time, which would make sense because I'm only using one hand. So it's just great if you like deck building. Like it's also like there's a limited amount of deck building to be done, so you don't have to worry too much about optimizing your deck perfectly. It tells great stories. I just like. Do you like the Arkham Horror loop, the gameplay loop? It's very similar. You're getting your engine set up in enough time to handle certain things. There's a lot of resource management. There's a lot of enemy management spatially around you, moving things, controlling them. If you get off on sort of control style decks in sort of Magic-esque games, like this is all sort of control style decks. I feel like all the different variations you can make are still like control style decks. I mean, I guess there's potentially something that could be called aggro, but not really. Maybe a little. I don't know. But the deck building is cool. It's fun, and it's like getting into Arkham when there was just the base game and like one expansion. So it's like not overwhelming to deck build, and you feel like you're not playing with all the cool toys. You'll play with all the cool toys when you play this. Except now all these new things are coming out. I don't really even know what's in this. I know they said it's not a new campaign, that you can just toss it into the campaign you're in and add it. This is Spire in Bloom. And this is Moments in the Valley. These two things, I literally just ordered them. They did not send me these. I ordered them like last week and they just arrived yesterday. And they just dropped they dropped a new world of content that was not on Kickstarter. That was just like, here, it's for sale. Go, buy it. And I adore these games. It's been 2 years. I still adore these games. The last games I talked about were these, and I'm still talking about them today. Earthborne Rangers is my jam. I will always enjoy it. I'm going to keep playing different scenarios or different campaigns and trying different characters. Even going through the same campaign with different characters I found very interesting. It's very relaxing. I love Arkham Horror, and we should talk briefly about how Fantasy Flight Games just announced this week that they're going to be rebooting that. There's going to be an Arkham 2.0, which of course I love Arkham. I'm all about it. I'm in. Arkham is really great. It's also hard and stressful at times, wherein Earthborne Rangers is less stressful and more just chill, I guess is the word I would use. But without losing the grit that I need in mechanisms to keep my brain thinking about it. That was all 10 games. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, that was 10 games that I have played, a whole bunch, over the past 2 years. I've got a lot of new, exciting games coming out that I'm into and hoping to get. Like Old King's Crown is a fantastic solo mode. We've been talking about it a lot on the podcast. We will continue to. I'm playing it tonight. I've been playing it a lot. The solo mode is awesome. Ricky Royal designed it, Box of Delights, maybe the goat of solo mode channels out there. Designed it. It's really good. Arkham Horror, the card game, has a 2.0 coming out. That's exciting. There's a roll and write called Wayfarer's Tale that I bought recently that should be coming soon. That's pretty cool. I don't like roll and writes. I don't know why I bought that. Kind of the theme of the show. But it looked cool. And anytime we take like a thing that I don't like and mix it with something I do like narrative and roll and write and survival, I just go like, yeah, that looks cool. But anyway, it's good to be back. A lot of this was brought on by, the reason I wanted to do a solo mode today was to sort of, let me go ahead and bring my main camera back, was to get this whole visual aspect of the podcast worked out, because I would like to start doing some playthroughs and sharing the joy of solo mode with you guys visually, and playing some fun games and showing you how I enjoy them, and teaching people how to play solo modes so that they can enjoy them too. So, and as long as I got all this equipment set up and lights and cameras and Halloween decorations in the background, I might as well bring back solo mode and talk about it. And then I think these 10 games I'm going to try to stream some of these. And by stream, I mean record. I'm not going to do the chatty chat while we play, but I'll play, record it, and then throw it up on YouTube. So yeah, go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel here. Solo mode is back. Back with a vengeance, back with a new video expansion. And it's been great chatting with you guys. And we'll do it again definitely sooner than 2 years from now. Peace.
Solo mode is the solo mode, and you're all alone in the solo mode, and you miss your group, or you had some kids, but you bought some games. Why did you buy those games? It's the solo mode, it's the solo mode, and you're all alone in the solo mode, and your group is gone, or you had some kids, but you bought those games. Why did you buy those games? Sorry.